Happy Friday to everybody. 49ers free agency update. Subscribe to the channel. If you've been subscribed, you know that we've just been pumping content out this week, both on The Athletic, the written content that you see right next to me. There's an article on Charvarius Ward yesterday, and right here on YouTube, where it's been busy around the whole league. The 49ers probably medium busyness for them. In fact, if you look at the plus minus EPA at it, based on their free agency losses and their free agency acquisitions, the 49ers are smack dab in the middle. 4 signings now for the 49ers following yesterday's signing of Ray McCloud. I went out of my St. Paddy's Day party to talk about Ray McCloud in that random room at my friend's apartment. But now I'm back in a more controlled studio setting with the cinematic mode on the iPhone, and just want to give you guys a quick little refresher on how these first few days of free agency have gone for the 49ers. We'll go through some of the players they have lost and some of the players they have gained, set the table for what is going to happen moving forward, because it's still a long off season. No matter what anybody tells you, we're 10% of the way through the off season. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you could probably say 5% of the way through it, because the draft is the sustainable way to build a football team. You have to find a way to be prudent in free agency, make the right signings in free agency, but you really have to nail those draft picks. And the 49ers have 9 of them this year. And speaking of prudence in free agency, that period is just starting right now. You know, you have legal tampering period, land rush signings, Jacksonville Jaguars, say hello to them. And then you have teams that sit back and they fill specific holes with cost-effective options. And the 49ers are going to hope to do that moving forward. I think the one gaping hole for San Francisco right now is the offensive line. Laken Tomlinson has left. You got to figure out a way to ameliorate that problem at left guard. Maybe their answer is Aaron Banks, but I still think they need a veteran. At right guard, they've tendered Daniel Brunskill, but boy, they could sure use an upgrade. And at right tackle, well, they better hope that Mike McGlinchey comes back from his torn quad injury healthy, because regardless of who's at quarterback for the 49ers, and especially if it's Trey Lance, you got to be better in pass protection. So let's just do the quick rundown for the 49ers right now. They have gained Charvarius Ward. Article on him up on The Athletic. I'm going to put that in the chat section in just a minute. It's just up on the screen right there. I thought it was fitting that yesterday the Rams went out and they got Allen Robinson, right? So they may have Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, and Odell Beckham when he returns from his torn ACL. And the 49ers already got roasted by them on the cornerback front in the NFC Championship game. So with the Rams getting Allen Robinson yesterday, and then the Raiders trading for Davante Adams, and then the realization of the 49ers are facing both of those guys, right? They're going to be facing Robinson, Kupp, and then they're going to be facing the Raiders because they play the AFC West next year. So they're going to have to square off with Davante Adams and obviously many more good receivers. I thought it was fitting that the 49ers formally introduced Charvarius Ward right in between those two big pieces of news, because as you can see on the picture, that's Charvarius Ward covering Davante Adams, and he covered him well in that game against Green Bay. So Charvarius Ward, I mean, look at the stats for Charvarius first of all. I mean, he's statistically a excellent cornerback, and the 49ers should be very, very excited about this, because they didn't have one of these guys last year, especially after Jason Verrett got hurt. We could even make this big on the screen for you, but completion percentage allowed second, average target separation first, tight window rate first, coverage success rate fourth, target EPA allowed 11th. So Charvarius Ward has earned his money, waiting on the contract details, but it looks like it's going to be a deal that's worth up to $14 million per year, makes him the 10th or 11th highest paid cornerback in the league by APY. And the 49ers do badly need a number one corner to make sure that they are in position to shut down some of these excellent receivers that they're set to face next season. So you're happy about that if you're the 49ers. The Ray McCloud signing, you're happy about that because your return unit's been number 32 in kick returns. That's dead last in each of the past 2 seasons. So you need to improve in that facet of the game. You can't continue bleeding efficiency, bleeding games through the kick return unit. And the punt return unit, it was average last year, but you want to become explosive. And Ray McCloud led the league in punt return yardage last year. Oren Burks, also a special teams addition. 3rd-round pick, hybrid safety linebacker in the same year that Fred Warner was a 3rd-round pick as a hybrid safety linebacker. Burks has not had quite the career that Warner has had as a linebacker, but he is a special teams ace, and that helps the 49ers there. And then they also added Hassan Ridgeway, which is part of the plan to replace DJ Jones. It's obviously going to take more than just Hassan Ridgeway to replace DJ Jones. The 49ers have lost Laken Tomlinson, left guard. That's a big hole. That's a problem. The 49ers need to figure out how to fill that hole. It might be Aaron Banks, but I'm not confident in that. I don't think the 49ers should be either. So find a veteran contingency plan. Sign a guard if you're the 49ers. Obviously, they've lost DJ Jones. They're already on their way to trying to fill that. They re-signed Maurice Hurst. They did sign Hassan Ridgeway. Eric Armstead could play inside. Chris Kacerek could do a hell of a job coaching up the defensive line. I think the 49ers will be able to absorb that, but look for them to still be active on that D-line market to see what else they can get. They've lost Raheem Mostert to the Miami Dolphins. That was expected because Raheem Mostert, that's Mike McDaniel's favorite player. He's only played in 8 of his past 33 games due to injuries. So when the Dolphins were ready to pay $3.125 million for Mostert, the 49ers weren't ready to match it, and probably rightfully so from a pure economic standpoint. Trenton Cannon, he's headed to Tennessee. Specialist for the 49ers, had that scary injury against Seattle. Just good that, the ambulance had to take him off the field on that one. Good to see him sign a new contract, move on, continue his career after that frightening incident. Trent Sherfield, he's also in Miami. So another poaching from that Mike McDaniel staff. He was a special teams ace for the 49ers this past year. They're going to have to figure out who's going to play gunner for them. But they have a new coordinator in Brian Schneider, and he's putting a value on personnel on special teams. So we'll see what the 49ers do. They picked up Ray McLeod. They picked up Oren Burks in the special teams department. They're going to have to find a way to replace Sherfield, who unfortunately only had, 9 catches for, I think, 187 yards, even fewer yards for them last year. But not a lot of catches for Sherfield. After the preseason, you expected more because he was a heavily used target, but only 9 catches. And I'll tell you what, when you look at the specialist they have this year, Ray McLeod, he had 36 catches for Pittsburgh last year. Would have been the 4th leading receiver for the 49ers. So Ray McLeod, on top of leading the league in punt return yardage, he's also a guy who is going to be involved in the offense. He's 5'9". He's a shutter bug. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to use him as a gadget weapon. Taylor Gabriel back in the past and those Cleveland days for Kyle Shanahan. But you have Ray McLeod, and the first play of his highlight reel on YouTube is an end around. I guarantee you the 49ers are going to use that quickness as an end around. 36 catches, nothing to scoff at, especially for a guy that gives you a lot on special teams. So the 49ers hope he gives them more than Sherfield. Tom Compton, he's gone. He's going to be a depth offensive lineman in Denver. Underscores the 49ers need to really hit this mid-tier O-line market and free agency to find some depth to round it out and then turn to the same goal during the draft where they have 9 picks. 49ers love the depth of this draft. They don't think it's particularly top heavy. They think it's more bottom heavy. So they think the fact that they have 9 picks starting at 61 will really help them. But we'll see how they, decide to distribute the way that they address the offensive line. I think they got to do it both through middle tier free agency, which is right now, and through the draft. And hey, maybe you go to bargain bin free agency too. Remember, the 49ers got Laken Tomlinson off the bargain bin. That was back in 2017. 5th round pick turned into a $13 million player. So bargain bin's fine if your talent evaluation's good and you develop players properly. And finally, the 49ers lost Kentavious Street. They didn't tender him, and he signed with the New Orleans Saints. So that's the update. We're still waiting for Deshaun Watson to pick between the Saints and the Falcons. Probably better for the 49ers if he chooses the Saints, because that means that Matt Ryan would stay put with the Falcons. Otherwise, you have Matt Ryan go into the quarterback market, and that hurts the 49ers' chances of getting a better return for Jimmy Garoppolo. But not worth stressing over. Just something that we have to sit back, watch, and see what happens right now. Anyway, everybody, subscribe to the channel. No questions today. Next time I'll answer questions. Just wanted to give you a nice update, as I usually do. I'll be back on whenever something else happens. Follow me on Twitter at Lombardi himself. Subscribe right here to YouTube. And let's let Deshaun Watson have all the attention, because that's what he wants right now. All right, everybody, take care. It's been good. Have a good Friday. Bye now.